Pete Hegseth wants to rename the Department of Defense. Not to something bland, not to something politically correct. No, he wants to take it back to what it used to be called for over 150 years. The Department of War. Now before anyone rolls their eyes and says, it's just a name, stop right there, it's not just a name, it's a mindset, a mission, a message. And it used to be our mission too until we watered it down. Let's rewind the clock. For the first century and a half of this country's existence, the United States didn't pretend about what its military was for. We had a War Department, not a conflict management department, not a diplomatic backup department, a War Department. It was clear, unapologetic, and focused. The job was to win wars, not write white papers. Then came 1947. World War II had just ended. The US was a superpower now, staring down Stalin and a brand new Cold War. So what did Washington do? They reorganized the whole system. The National Security Act of 1947 created what they called the National Military Establishment, bringing together the Army, the newly created Air Force, and the Navy under one roof. It sounded bold on paper, but even then, the name made people uncomfortable. Establishment? Sounds like something out of a think tank, not a war room. President Harry Truman signed it anyway. The idea came from his Secretary of Defense, James Forrestal, who wanted more streamlined command and better coordination, which made sense. But almost immediately, people hated the name. Newspapers mocked it. Military brass ignored it. And some complained about the acronym's unfortunate pronunciation. NME sounds a lot like enemy. So just 2 years later, in 1949, they quietly renamed it to something that sounded safer. The Department of Defense. Defense, not offense, not war, just defense. Now here we are decades later, with a bloated Pentagon, recruitment numbers falling, and a military that's become more about diversity seminars than dominance. And that's exactly why Pete Hegseth wants to bring back the Department of War. He says that the word defense sends the wrong message. It sounds like we're always on our heels. Like we only react when something goes wrong. That's not what made America strong. Hegseth believes in warrior culture, not in some Hollywood action movie way, but in the real sense. A military that trains for war, thinks about war, and most importantly, wins wars. His message has been consistent. The military is not a jobs program. It's not a social experiment. It's a war-fighting machine. So this push to rename the department? It's not just symbolism, it's a challenge to the entire mindset that's taken over the Pentagon in recent decades, where image management and bureaucracy too often outrank readiness and strength. Hegseth's trying to drag the department back to what it was meant to be, lethal, focused, and proud. And this isn't the only change he's made. He's purging woke DEI programs, he's reinstating gender-neutral combat standards, not to be inclusive, but to ensure that the only people on the battlefield are the ones who can carry the weight and bring the pain. He's showing up at bases, working out with the troops, sending a message that leadership isn't about sitting at a desk. It's about leading from the front. Now, let's be honest. Will this name change happen overnight? Probably not. It'll need congressional approval. And you better believe the usual suspects in DC are already clutching their pearls. Oh no, what will the international community think if we call it the Department of War? Newsflash, the world already knows what we are. They just want to see if we still have the guts to say it out loud. You want deterrence? Try calling your military the Department of War and meaning it. You want to recruit warriors? Tell them they're joining an institution built for victory, not virtual training modules. So we'll ask you, what would you call it? Do you stand with Hegseth in renaming it back to the Department of War? Or do you think defense still works, even as our enemies grow bolder by the day? Drop your take in the comments. And if you're tired of weak-kneed leadership, if you're proud of the warriors who built this country, and if you want to see our military reclaim its edge, like this video, subscribe to Veteran Spot and share it with someone who still believes in strength, honor, and winning. This isn't about politics, it's about power. Stay sharp, stay proud, stay free.